ahead and look at our next example. Now this time we are going to be subtracting. It tells you right out, I have no negative numbers other than the fact I'm taking this away. And our denominators are not the same, so we want to go ahead and get them the same. And I also see that they're just regular fractions. They're not improper fractions or mixed numbers. So that's good. We're just going to go ahead and start. So let's go ahead and find the least common multiple or the least common denominator between 4 and 9. I already kind of see on the top of my head that 4 when you break it down and 9 when you break it down, they don't have any numbers in common. So we will end up multiplying them together to get our least common denominator. But let's see what that actually looks like. So if I break down 4, I have 2 times 2, or 2 squared. And then 9, when we break it down, we have 3 times 3, which is 3 squared. So if you look on both of those, what numbers are represented? We have a 2 and a 3 and raise them to the highest power, which both of them are squared. So this is how we're ending up multiplying 4 times 9, which gives you 36. Alright, now let's go ahead and get our denominators to 36. I'm going to go ahead and box them in here a little bit. Alright, so 4 times 9 gives you 36. We also have to do the same to the numerator if we want them to be balanced, which we do. And then let's go ahead and multiply by 4, multiply by 4. Okay, 9 times 3 gives you 27, 9 times 4 gives you 36, minus 8 times 4 gives you 32, and then 9 times 4 gives you 36. Alright, now I've noticed that I'm taking away more than what I have, so my final answer is going to be negative. Just like if you withdraw too much money, you're going to be negatives. So let's go ahead and subtract them. 32 minus 27, you're going to go ahead and get 5. So it's going to be negative 5 over 36. Now this is already a regular fraction, not an improper fraction, and we can't take anything else away because this ends in a 6, not a 5 or a 0. So negative 5 over 36. Alright, let's go ahead and look at our last example, or actually we're going to do another example after this one. Let's go ahead and look at 5 1/3 minus a negative 4 5/9. So the things I realized right off is that this is a mixed number, and we also have minus a negative. So if you remember back to when we did adding and subtracting integers, a minus and negative is the same as a plus positive. It's because since they're almost touching right here, it's almost like they go together and they make a positive sign instead. So let's go ahead and change them to improper fractions. 3 times 5 gives you 15, plus 1, which gives you 16 over 3. And then 9 times 4 gives you 36, plus 5 gives you 41 over 9. So we're adding. Now let's go ahead and get our denominators the same right away. I see that 3 goes into 9, so I don't have to do anything to this fraction, which is kind of cool, a little bit less for us to do. So let's go ahead and change it. So let's multiply by 3, multiply by 3. The reason why I chose to multiply by 3 is because 3 times 3 is going to give me 9, which is going to give our denominators the same, which is awesome. So let's go ahead and do 16 times 3. So 3 times 6 gives you 18. 3 times 1 gives you 3, plus 1 gives you 4. So we have 48 over 9 plus 41 over 9. So let's go ahead and add them up. 48 plus 41, 8 plus 1 gives you 9. 4 plus 4 gives you 8 over 9. So you can keep it as an improper fraction, or you can change it to a mixed number, which would be 9 goes into 89 at about 9 times, actually, because 9 times 9 gives you 81. And then we'll have 8 over 9. So 9 and 8 next. So either or. Alright, let's go ahead and do one more example. Alright, let's go ahead and look at our final example. Now this one is a word problem, obviously, so let's go ahead and think through it together. It says the speed of a hornet is about 13 3/10 miles per hour. The speed of a dragonfly is 17 4/5 miles per hour. How much faster is the dragonfly than the hornet? So first of all, we see numbers. We see numbers for how fast a hornet is. We see numbers for how fast the dragonfly is. And now we need to figure out, well, what are we doing with these numbers? It says how much faster. So anytime it says how much faster, that means we're going to have to figure out the difference between them, or we'll have to be able to subtract them. So let's go ahead and subtract. So we want to see how much faster this one is than that one. So we have 17 4/5 minus 13 3/10. So now we've done the hard part. We've read our problem and we figured out what we need to do and we came up with our equation. So now let's go ahead and solve it. So first of all, I see that these are mixed numbers, so let's go ahead and change them to improper fractions so we can do our stuff. So let's go ahead and do 5 times 17. So 5 times 17. 5 times 7 gives you 35. 5 times 5 gives you 5, or 5 times 1 gives you 5, plus 3 gives you 8. So we have 85, and then we have to add 4, which is going to give you 89. So we have 89 over 5. So here's our first fraction. Now let's go ahead and find your others. We do 10 times 13, which gives you 130. And then 130 plus 3 gives you 133. 133 over 10. Now it's time to look at our denominators. Obviously they're not the same, but I can come up with the least common denominator right off the top of my head. And that is because I looked at the smaller number and I asked myself, could this number go into this number? Since it can, I'm going to go ahead and do that. So obviously 5 times 2 gives you 10. So let's go ahead and multiply 89 times 2 as well. I'm going to do the math over here. 89 times 2. 2 times 9 gives you 18. 2 times 8 gives you 16, plus 1 gives you 17. So we have 178 over 10 minus 133 over 10. Now let's go ahead and do our math. So I'm going to do it over here. 178 minus 133. Now, when you're doing all of the work for your own problems, keep all the work in the same area. Because remember, I tell you that showing your work is not just to check it off the list. It's so that if you come up with a mistake at the end or it doesn't make sense, you can go back and see what you did. Because you may have just made a quick error, which is so easy to do, in just your multiplication, and you would be able to fix that and realize that you were on the right track. You just did a little error. So that's what showing your work is for. It's not to be a torture for you. So let's go ahead and subtract. So 8 minus 3 gives you 5. 7 minus 3 gives you 4. 1 minus 1 gives you 0. So we have 45 over 10. Now I'm going to go ahead, I know that this is an improper fraction, but I'm going to go ahead and just take a 10 out so that we can make it a little bit easier for ourselves. Or take out a 5, sorry. We're going to take out a 5 out of both, and I know that because this ends in a 5 and this ends in a 0, so they're both divisible by 5. So 45 divided by 5 gives you 9. 10 divided by 5 gives you 2. And if you, in this particular case, if you are actually looking at the problem and what it's asking, you might want to make it into a mixed number because we're talking about how many miles per hour. So we want to see how many whole miles per hour they're going and the fraction. Just like this is 17 and 4/5 miles per hour. So we know that it's almost 18 miles per hour because 4 is one way from 5. So that's why we want to go ahead and change this one especially back to a mixed number. So let's go ahead and do it. 9 divided by 2, so 2 goes into 9 about 4 times. So because 4 times 2 will give you 8, so 4 times. And then you'll have 1 left over, so 1/2. So it's 4 1/2 miles per hour faster than the other. Alright, as always, rewatch the video if you need to. If you're running into any problems, watch it again. Look back in your textbook for more examples. And as always, bring your questions to class tomorrow, and that's fine with me. Let's go ahead and do some on your own questions.
Alright, you have 4 problems to do, or 5 problems to do for me actually. Go ahead and solve those, and we'll see what you get tomorrow. Good luck!